The story begins with Ray, our protagonist, surrounded by his companions at what appears to be a funeral. To console him, a woman with pink hair hugs him, but as he looks at the tombstone, he remembers his deceased companion Howard. Howard tells him he must survive, and after these words he explodes, splattering Ray with his blood. Additionally, there was a woman on the ground, and upon seeing her, Ray becomes furious, unleashing his power and creating an ice dome while being observed by the same companions accompanying him at the funeral. After a drastic scene change, we see Ray entering a school of witchcraft. As it's his first day, he's looking for the auditorium and can't find it. A green-haired girl accidentally bumps into him from behind, but before falling, he catches her. She blushes, but upon hearing her companions talk about the arrival of a new student from a common family, not of nobility or descended from wizards, she says she can't believe a commoner touched her. Suddenly, a guy named Albert Alium arrives. Ray tries to greet him politely, but he rejects the greeting, telling him that the Arnold School of Witchcraft is only for nobles. Ray responds that he just wants to learn, but this infuriates the jerk, and he tries to attack Ray, failing miserably until a redhead stops him. People present their murmur that she is from the 3 most important noble families and tell Alium to stop. Then, she approaches Ray and introduces herself as Amelia Rose, telling him it's impressive to be the first commoner to enter the school and that he surely has a lot of talent. She also offers her help in case Ray encounters any problems. Ray isn't intimidated by the girl's status. Then, in the auditorium where Ray had to go, the director introduces herself as Abby Garnett and gives an extremely irrelevant speech to the students. Amelia Rose, as the representative of the newly admitted students, also says a few words and reminds the students that entering Arnold is just the starting point, not the goal, and they should strive to master magic. In a scene change, one of the teachers introduces everyone to Ray, and he introduces himself as Ray White. He mentions that he comes from an ordinary family but intends to work hard to become the best in the school. Ray and Amelia greet each other again, and everyone is surprised that a commoner is talking to a member of the Rose family. The class continues when the teacher asks Amelia to explain the ranks that wizards are divided into. She mentions that the Society of Sorcery has established 5 ranks: bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and the sacred rank. The teacher adds that only 7 sacred wizards can exist at the same time, and one of them is the school director, Abby Garnett. The most famous of the 7 is Carol Caroline, known for her research, and she is the woman who hugged Ray at the funeral. There is also the hero who ended the Far East War known as the Ice Wizard. According to the teacher, he is missing, but we know that this wizard is actually Ray. There is no information about the other sacred wizards, not even their nicknames. Alium interrupts the class, saying that if the goal of Arnold School is for its students to become part of the 7, they shouldn't allow a commoner to enter. The teacher responds that those in the class are the ones who pass the exam, and a person's background doesn't matter. In the next class, the teacher explains that magic is about creating matter through code, which can be undone afterward. This matter is divided into 4 categories: solid, liquid, gaseous, and plasma. Anything that doesn't fit into these 4 categories is classified as a phenomenon. A girl asks if she used antimatter code to undo the frozen roses, but the teacher replies that no wizard uses antimatter codes. This is just a theory called Ainsworth's double code theory and is for doctoral students, so they don't need to worry about it for now. The students start practicing, and Amelia is the first to succeed, while Ray pretends to only be able to create mediocre structures. This infuriates Alium. In the library, Ray meets the girl who asked about antimatter code and asks if she's looking for an Ainsworth book since she inquired about one of her theories in class. They greet each other in a friendly manner, and she introduces herself as Elisa Griffith. They sit together in the library, and Elisa tells Ray that Ainsworth is her role model and that she'd like to be like her. Ray replies that he also loves Ainsworth because she's a great researcher and sorceress. Elisa is surprised because it's the first time she's met someone her age who's an Ainser, a fan of Ainsworth. Ray didn't know there was a word for it, and suddenly tells her that she has beautiful hair. Elisa hadn't realized she wasn't wearing her hood and tries to put it back on, but Ray stops her and asks why she covers herself. Elisa says her ears are strange and that she's been teased about them her whole life, but Ray tells her he thinks she's beautiful. They talk for a while more and agree to meet again. When Ray enters his room, he meets his roommate named Evie. Evie tells him that he's not like the other rich kids and that he doesn't care that Ray is a commoner because what matters is his ability. They shake hands to test each other's strength, and both are surprised by each other's strength. They then take off some of their clothes and compliment each other's physiques, forming a very masculine friendship. While out for a run, Ray encounters one of his classmates, Rebecca Bradley, who tells him he's famous for being the first commoner to enter the school. There's not much more to say about this scene. Ray is about to go see the director, but a girl running towards him crashes into him. She starts yelling, and after an irrelevant conversation in which Ray compliments the girl's pigtails, her name is Clarice, they become friends, adding another, waifu, to the list. When he meets the director, Ray greets her by calling her Colonel, and Abby tells him to relax since they're not in the military anymore and reminisces about old times, as seen in a photo. They knew each other from before, so Abby knows Ray's true identity. Surprisingly, the conversation ends like this, and nothing else happens. The next class is a fencing practice, where Ray faces Alium, who throws a blow that Ray easily dodges. Then Alium launches a thrust with ill intentions, and Ray easily breaks his sword, being humiliated by someone who he claims is just a commoner. This is how Chapter 1 ends, and if you're enjoying the video, please subscribe and stay tuned for the following chapters of this anime. Chapter 2 begins with Ray and Evie training in their room, and both mention that after training, it's time for protein. Ray tells Evie that he's enrolled in 2 clubs simultaneously. Evie warns him that it will be quite challenging, but then Ray shows him a golden card, the purpose of which we don't know yet. The chapter continues as Ray enters a club full of muscular individuals. He usually speaks calmly and serenely, but this time, he enters shouting. It seems he can adapt to different environments. According to the members, this is a club dedicated to exploration, and they are called hunters. The leader says that they don't discriminate against anyone regardless of their background but mentions that someone with a weak mind or body won't be able to keep up with the club's pace. While the leader spoke, the others murmured that Ray looks too skinny and lacks muscles. However, the leader silences them and then shouts at Ray to take off his clothes. Ray obeys and surprises everyone with his muscles, even the leader. The leader asks if he has a golden card like his, and Ray affirms it, showing his card as well. One of the members says in astonishment that it's a gold hunter's license, and those who have it are on a completely different level. The leader shakes Ray's hand and tells him he's now a member of the club. Remember that he was going to join 2 clubs, and the second club is very different from the first. Upon entering, he sees that all the members are women, and the leader is Rebecca. This club is all about flowers, and while the leader has no problem with Ray joining, one of the girls opposes, saying that he's only trying to get close to Rebecca. The other girls murmur that if a boy enters the garden, it will wither the flowers, and he's just a commoner. Rebecca decides to give Ray a task, and if Dina, the girl who opposes, approves, then he can join, otherwise he won't be able to enter the club. The task is to clear the grassy space to plant flowers and create a garden. On the 3rd day, he has already cleared all the grass and started laying bricks. As he's working hard, Rebecca brings him food, and while they talk, they hear some noises. When they investigate, they see 2 students practicing with wooden swords, and she informs Ray that the magical night competition is approaching. Ray asks what that is, and she explains that it's a competition to find the strongest magic swordsman. When Rebecca lowers her gaze, she openly admires Ray's muscles and asks if she can touch them, mentioning they are very firm and well-shaped. Ray responds immodestly, saying that he trained in remote forests, and strikes a pose. Rebecca expresses her amazement, and mentions she's never touched a man's muscles before. The other girls in the club observe from the window, calling commoners perverts. Amelia also sees it without saying anything. By the 4th day, the garden is complete, and Dina has no choice but to approve it. Ray receives applause from all the other girls. The scene changes, and while walking in a place resembling a forest, Ray remembers that the director assigned him the task of being vigilant because there's a spy from the Empire infiltrated in the kingdom, possibly even within the school. As mentioned earlier, Ray is only supposed to be watchful and report if he sees anything suspicious but not obligated to actively search for the spy. The memory ends, and he sees a familiar person, Clarice. She tells him that he almost scared her because she was focused on observing bugs, as she loves insects. They have a random conversation and become friends. Later in another class, the teacher instructs them to form groups of 4 to go training in the Kafka forest. Evie suggests to Ray that they team up, and he pretends to be weak, saying that magic is challenging for him. However, his friend doesn't mind, knowing that Ray can use his body effectively, and is a gold-licensed hunter. As the 3rd member of the team, Ray invites Elisa, who initially hesitates, thinking she would be a burden, but Ray convinces her in a somewhat strange way. Amelia, the 4th member, joins them, surprising the entire class because she comes from the most important family and is associating with a commoner. The rules of this training are simple. The goal is to reach the center of the forest, gather some seals along the way, use them to mark a book, and they have only 24 hours. Additionally, there will be monsters, so they must be prepared to fight. The test begins, and after walking for a while, they encounter a monster that looks like a giant insect. Ray easily defeats it with a single blow, surprising his team. They continue their journey to find the first seal. Let's see how the others are doing. In one of the other teams, they are lost and don't know where to go, while in Clara's team, everyone is scared of an insect, but she is enjoying it because she loves insects. Hours pass, and it's already night. Ray's team decides to camp, and Amelia believes that they will arrive first at the speed they are going. Everyone agrees that Ray was impressive since he not only kills monsters but also knows survival skills to find food in the wild. Evie says that this is normal for a gold hunter. According to Ray, he killed many monsters in remote forests, so he's used to it. However, Amelia seems to doubt his story. The conversation changes, and Evie finds it hard to believe that Amelia, from the Rose family, the largest of the three families, is hanging out with a commoner. Still, she explains that she hates everything related to lineage and social classes and enjoys being with them because they treat her like one of them. The next day, the team hears a scream, and Ray rushes ahead to help. Upon arrival, he sees Alium and his team cornered by a monster. Ray easily eliminates it and offers a hand to help Alium up, but Alium pulls away, calling him nothing more than a commoner. He claims he could have handled the monster himself if Ray hadn't interrupted. Ray's team arrives. Elisa and Evie help those trapped in a green web, while Amelia stays and talks to Ray. She notices that he defeated this more powerful monster with a single blow as well and questions who he really is. A normal student shouldn't be capable of this. Ray remains silent, and suddenly, a mysterious figure hidden behind a tree throws a small dagger at the monster, causing it to revive, this time even stronger than before. Chapter 2 ends, and if you want to continue watching the summary, you can find it on the final screens and in the description. Goodbye.